At 67, Eleanor couldn't keep up with her 8-year-old grandson during their weekly park visits. 6 months later, she was outrunning him on the playground, and he couldn't figure out how Grandma had suddenly become superhuman. Have you ever felt like your body was aging faster than your mind? Like you're trapped in a shell that no longer matches who you feel like inside? That frustrating disconnect between the vibrant person you know yourself to be and the tired, achy person staring back at you in the mirror? Eleanor had spent 40 years as a librarian, climbing stepladders, carrying heavy books, staying sharp and energetic well into her 60s. But somewhere around 67, everything changed. Morning stiffness that required 20 minutes just to get moving. Afternoon crashes that demanded naps she didn't want to take. Memory lapses that made her question whether she was losing herself entirely. Everyone told her this was normal. What do you expect at your age? Friends would say with resigned acceptance. Even her doctor nodded sympathetically and suggested rest and daily vitamins, as if decline was inevitable and all she could do was manage it gracefully. But what if I told you Eleanor's fountain of youth wasn't found in expensive anti-aging creams or miracle supplements, but in 5 foods sitting in your grocery store right now? Foods. So ordinary, you probably walked past them yesterday without a second glance. If you believe it's possible to feel younger at 67 than you did at 60, hit that like button and tell me in the comments what aging gracefully means to you, because Eleanor's about to change that definition forever. Eleanor's story begins in the most ordinary place imaginable, her kitchen table, where she was about to discover that everything she thought she knew about aging was wrong. Every morning at 67, Eleanor's routine had become a negotiation with her own body. 20 minutes of gentle stretching just to convince her joints to cooperate. Another 10 minutes sitting on the edge of bed, gathering energy for the day ahead. The woman who once hiked mountain trails now struggled with grocery shopping. The librarian who could remember every patron's reading preferences began forgetting the names of books she'd loved for decades. Her skin, despite a cabinet full of expensive moisturizers, looked dull and papery, like pages from the old books she used to repair. Afternoons brought an exhaustion so complete that Eleanor would find herself napping in her reading chair, waking up disoriented and disappointed in her own body's betrayal. Gardening, which had been her joy and therapy for 30 years, became painful. Even her beloved rose bushes seemed like too much work. At her annual checkup, Dr. Harrison flipped through her chart with practiced efficiency. Blood pressure's a bit high, but normal for your age. Cholesterol's okay. Your memory concerns are typical. We all forget things as we get older. I'd recommend getting more rest, taking a daily multivitamin, maybe some fish oil. Eleanor left that appointment feeling dismissed and defeated. Normal for your age felt like a death sentence wrapped in medical politeness. Was this really all she could expect? Were her best years definitively behind her? The worst part wasn't the physical symptoms. It was watching life happen around her instead of with her. Her grandchildren's visits, once the highlight of her week, became exhausting marathons she barely survived. She started declining social invitations, not from lack of interest, but from lack of energy. This is just what happens after 60, she told herself, echoing what everyone else seemed to believe. She watched friends her age comparing aches and pains like badges of honor, accepting decline as the price of longevity. But everything changed the weekend her daughter Lisa came to visit. Share this video with someone who thinks aging means giving up on feeling great, because what Eleanor's daughter told her next would change everything she thought she knew about getting older. Lisa was a nutritionist who had spent years helping clients optimize their health through food. But somehow, she'd never really looked, really seen, what her mother was eating until that Saturday morning when she opened Eleanor's refrigerator. "Mom," Lisa said gently, scanning the shelves filled with processed foods, diet products, and convenience meals, "your body isn't broken. It's just not getting what it needs to repair and renew itself." Eleanor bristled slightly. "I eat healthy. I buy low-fat everything. I take vitamins." "But you're eating like you're already sick," Lisa interrupted, not unkindly. "You're eating for management, not for vitality. What if I told you that some of the most powerful anti-aging compounds on Earth are sitting in produce aisles, and most people walk right past them?" Lisa pulled out her laptop and showed Eleanor research that would change everything. study after study demonstrating that certain foods could literally slow cellular aging, protect against cognitive decline, and restore energy levels that most people assume are gone forever. There are 5 foods, Lisa explained, that work like a biological reset button. Not supplements, not expensive superfoods, just regular groceries that happen to be nature's most powerful anti-aging medicine. First, berries, specifically blueberries and raspberries. Mom, these contain anthocyanins and antioxidants that protect your brain cells from aging. There are studies showing people who eat berries regularly have sharper memories and slower cognitive decline. And the antioxidants literally protect your skin from the inside out. Second, dark leafy greens like spinach and kale. These are loaded with vitamins A, C, and K, the building blocks for strong bones and sharp minds after 60. The folate supports brain function, and lutein protects your vision. Real studies show people who eat these regularly maintain mental sharpness decades longer. Third, fatty fish like salmon. The omega-3s reduce inflammation throughout your entire body. Inflammation is basically the root cause of aging. It's what makes your joints ache, your brain foggy, your skin dull. Omega-3s are like putting out a fire that's been burning in your system for years. Fourth, nuts and seeds, especially walnuts. Vitamin E for skin health, healthy fats for brain function, protein for maintaining muscle mass. Plus, they satisfy cravings naturally, so you stop reaching for processed snacks that accelerate aging. Finally, cruciferous vegetables, broccoli and Brussels sprouts. These contain sulforaphane, which literally fights cellular aging and supports your body's natural detox systems. Recent research shows they help prevent chronic diseases and keep your internal systems functioning like they did decades ago. Eleanor stared at the screen, skeptical but intrigued. Lisa, I've tried healthy eating before. It never made much difference. That's because you tried eating less of what was bad instead of eating more of what's powerful, Lisa replied. These foods work at the cellular level to reverse damage, not just prevent more damage. Eleanor agreed to a 6-month experiment, starting small, one food at a time, tracking how she felt rather than focusing on weight or appearance. Lisa would check in weekly, providing recipes and encouragement. Eleanor had no idea she was about to become her own science experiment, and the results would surprise everyone, including her doctor. Month 1 started simply, blueberries in her morning oatmeal. The first change was subtle, better sleep. Eleanor had been waking up multiple times each night for years, but by week 3, she was sleeping through until morning. She attributed it to coincidence until she realized she felt more rested than she had in months. Month 2 brought the green experiment. Lisa taught Eleanor to make smoothies that disguised spinach with the berries she'd grown to love. The mental fog that had become Eleanor's constant companion began lifting like morning mist. She found herself remembering details from conversations, recalling book plots she thought she'd forgotten forever. Her friend Margaret noticed during their weekly coffee date. Eleanor, you seem different. Sharper somehow. Are you taking something new? Month 3 introduced Salmon Saturdays, a weekly tradition that Eleanor actually began looking forward to. Lisa taught her simple preparations with herbs and lemon that made the fish delicious rather than dutiful. The joint stiffness that had made mornings miserable began melting away. Eleanor woke up one Tuesday and realized she'd gotten out of bed without thinking about it. No gradual negotiation with her knees, no careful maneuvering around aches and pains. She returned to her rose garden for the first time in months, spending an entire afternoon pruning and weeding without the next day's soreness she'd come to expect. Comment below which of these 5 foods you're most excited to try. Your experience might inspire someone else on their aging journey. Month 4 brought walnuts as afternoon snacks, replacing the cookies and crackers that had become her habit. Eleanor's skin began changing in ways her expensive creams had never achieved. A subtle glow, better texture, fewer age spots appearing. But the energy was a real revelation. The afternoon crashes that had defined her schedule for years simply disappeared. Eleanor found herself accepting social invitations she'd been declining for months. Month 5 completed the transformation with roasted Brussels sprouts and steamed broccoli, vegetables she'd avoided since childhood. Lisa taught her preparation methods that made them actually delicious, and Eleanor's overall vitality reached levels she hadn't felt in over a decade. The breakthrough moment came during a regular playground visit with her grandson Tommy. They were playing tag when Eleanor realized she was actually running, not walking quickly, not pretending to chase, actually running after an 8-year-old and keeping up. Tommy stopped in amazement. "Grandma, you're fast. When did you get so fast?" Eleanor stood there catching her breath, not from exhaustion but from amazement. When had this happened? When had her body become capable again? When had aging stopped feeling like surrender and started feeling like possibility? Her skin was glowing without expensive treatments. Her hair showed shine and strength she hadn't seen in years. Her eyes were brighter, her posture straighter, her entire presence more vital. But the mental changes were even more dramatic. Her memory was sharp and reliable. Her mood remained stable and optimistic throughout days that would have exhausted her months earlier. She felt confident in her body's abilities for the first time in years. Eleanor had rejoined her book club, volunteered at the community center, and begun taking on the active grandparent role she thought was lost forever. She was planning weekend trips, considering new hobbies, and genuinely excited about her future. But Eleanor's transformation was just the beginning of something bigger. Word spread through Eleanor's community like wildfire. The woman who had been quietly fading into typical aging had somehow reversed course and was thriving in ways that made everyone take notice. Margaret, her coffee companion, started adding berries to her morning routine after watching Eleanor's energy levels soar. Within 6 weeks, Margaret's arthritis pain had decreased significantly, something her medications hadn't achieved in months. Robert from the book club began eating salmon twice a week after Eleanor shared her favorite recipes. His memory, which had been failing to the point where he could barely follow complex plots, sharpened dramatically. He went from struggling with conversations to leading discussions. Eleanor's sister Sarah, inspired by the transformation, started incorporating all 5 foods into her diet. At 64, Sarah had been planning to give up travel because of fatigue and joint issues. 6 months later, she booked a trip to Italy. The local senior center asked Eleanor to lead nutrition workshops. What started as informal recipe sharing became a movement of people who refused to accept decline as inevitable. But it was Eleanor's next doctor's appointment that provided the most validation. Dr. Harrison looked at her chart with confusion, then amazement. "Eleanor, your blood pressure has normalized. Your cholesterol levels have improved dramatically. Your cognitive assessment scores are better than they were 5 years ago. What are you doing differently?" When Eleanor explained her nutrition journey, Dr. Harrison leaned forward with genuine interest. The science behind Eleanor's transformation wasn't mystical. It was measurable and repeatable. The antioxidants in berries had literally protected her brain cells from age-related damage, while supporting cellular repair throughout her body. The vitamins and minerals in leafy greens had strengthened her bones, improved her cognitive function, and enhanced her body's natural detox processes. Omega-3s from salmon had reduced the chronic inflammation that causes joint pain, brain fog, and accelerated aging. The healthy fats and vitamin E in walnuts had improved her skin health from within while supporting optimal brain function. Cruciferous vegetables had boosted her body's natural ability to fight cellular damage and prevent chronic diseases. Eleanor's approach had addressed aging at its root cause, cellular damage from inflammation and oxidative stress, rather than just managing symptoms. The economic impact was remarkable, too. Eleanor's medical costs had decreased as her need for medications reduced. She was spending less on expensive anti-aging products because her skin was healthy from within. Her energy and independence reduced stress on her family while increasing her contribution to her community. Most importantly, Eleanor was creating a legacy of vitality that would influence generations. Her grandchildren were learning that aging could be an adventure rather than a decline, that bodies could get stronger and more capable with age when given the right support. Today, at 68, Eleanor moves through life with more energy and enthusiasm than she had at 60. She leads a senior walking group every Tuesday morning, tends an expanded garden that supplies vegetables for her entire neighborhood, and recently started taking Italian lessons in preparation for the trip to Tuscany she's planning for her 70th birthday. Her transformation proves something that the anti-aging industry doesn't want you to know. The real fountain of youth isn't locked away in expensive treatments or exclusive clinics. It's accessible, affordable, and sitting in grocery stores everywhere. Eleanor's story destroys the myth that decline is inevitable, that normal aging means giving up vitality, energy, and joy. She learned that aging gracefully isn't about accepting limitations. It's about discovering possibilities. The 5 foods that transformed Eleanor's life: berries, leafy greens, salmon, walnuts, and cruciferous vegetables work by addressing aging at the cellular level. They provide the antioxidants, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals that older bodies need not just maintain function, but to improve it. Eleanor's journey shows us that 67 can feel better than 60, that energy can increase with age, that mental sharpness can improve over time, and that the best years don't have to be behind us. The secret isn't complicated meal plans or expensive supplements. It's consistency with foods that support your body's natural ability to repair, renew, and thrive at any age. If Eleanor's story inspires you to believe that aging can be an adventure instead of a decline, subscribe for more stories of seniors who are redefining what's possible after 60. Share this video with someone who's ready to discover their own fountain of youth in the produce aisle. Comment below with which anti-aging food you'll add to your plate this week, because every small choice is a step toward a vibrant future you deserve. Eleanor learned that the fountain of youth isn't hidden in some distant land or locked away in expensive treatments. It's sitting in produce aisles, stocked in freezer sections, and growing in gardens, waiting for someone brave enough to believe that 67 can feel better than 60, that energy can increase with age, and that the best years don't have to be behind us. The question isn't whether you're getting older. We all are. The question is whether you're getting better. Eleanor chose better, one berry at a time. What will you choose?